everybody? This is your boy, the Green Talents, coming at you with a video that's of quite some importance. But this one here is kind of a surprise, but then it's not a surprise. If you guys are quite remember, the Eagles have, not the Eagles, but the Jacksonville Jaguars have fired former head coach, former Ohio State, and former Florida Gator, and former Utah Utes head coach Urban Meyer the past couple of weeks now, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have been on a complete what had been a complete disaster up until the firing, but they were a complete disaster before the firing, but it just that they only won 2 games this season, and they are currently stand now I think 2-13 or 2-14, one of those um, win loss ratios of where they currently stand right now, but they are also in the look for a new head coach. I think that the head coaching interview started this week, I believe. So the Jaguars got an early head start on their head coaching search, and these are some of the guys that I've written down or from what I've seen on one of the social media apps just now. Bleacher Report. If you guys know, if you guys are quite familiar with Bleacher Report report everything that's going on for its rumors and what they have heard in the NFL, NBA, hockey, golf, yada 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 circles. So they get the news and they broadcast it on their app, or they can broadcast it on Google or wherever you choose to get the Bleacher Report app from, or off Google, however what your choice is. But that's your propaganda, not mine. So, but without further ado, like I said, the Jaguars have started head coaching search early, and here are some of the guys that they are currently looking at or have interviewed currently. The Eagles, I don't know why I'm started saying the Eagles, but the Jacksonville Jaguars have interviewed Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you guys remember, Byron Leftwich was also drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars back in the early 2000s from the University of Marshall. He played about 6-7 years in the NFL, but he also was a backup quarterback the last 3 or 4 years before he retired. If you guys remember, He also went to play for. He also was with the backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When the Pittsburgh won their last Super Bowl, Byron Leftwich was part of that coaching staff. When that part of that, our coaching staff was part of that circle of quarterback they had on their roster, and he won a Super Bowl. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers released him, and he went right back to Jacksonville, I believe, and he played a couple of years more there before calling it a career. And so he been in the coaching circle. I think he played. I think he was a offensive offensive coordinator. Actually, I think he was a quarterback coach, I believe, with another team before going to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers hired him as I think he was their quarterback coach, and then I think he wound up becoming an offensive coordinator, which is where he currently stands. He had been the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the past 4 years, and he's a damn good one at that. He's one of those minority coaches that a lot of NFL teams are trying to convey, but at the same time, he has been overlooked quite a few times for the head coaching gig. But it looks like he might get his chance back. Cause you got to remember, he started his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a good chance he could return back there, the team that drafted him, and with the possibility of becoming head coach there. I'm wishing the best for him because this guy has done extraordinarily well. He won 2 Super Bowls. He won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback, and he just recently won a Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an offensive coordinator position. You know, so he had 2 Super Bowl rings to his title. One as a D, one as an OC, and one as a backup player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So like I said, he been around the coaching ranks for quite some time before being recognized now as one of the top offensive minds in the NFL. Remember now, the guy behind the head coach for the Buccaneers every current stand. I can't think of the guy's name. I can't think of his name. It's in my head, but I can't think of him right now. But Todd Bowles, you got to remember Todd Bowles was also in the coaching circle. This guy he started his career as a defensive assistant with the Miami Dolphins. Then from Miami to the Philadelphia Eagles because the Eagles brought him in as also a defensive assistant, and he wound up becoming. I'm sorry. I think he was a defensive assistant at one point, and I think he became a linebacker coach, and he wound up becoming a defensive coordinator. I think the Eagles. He spent 2 years with the Eagles, if I'm correct, and he was a defensive assistant, or might have been a linebacker coach, somewhere along been there with the Eagles, and wound up becoming a defensive coordinator. And the Eagles defense was pretty good at that point during the 1 year that he was the defensive coordinator. But then the Eagles let him go, and he wound up going to the I think to the yeah, that's right. He was with the Eagles. He went with the Eagles. The Eagles come loose, and he wound up going to the Cardinals. The Cardinals had him there for their defensive coordinator position. I think he spent a few years with the coaching staff there with Arizona. And I think the Arizona fired him, and then he wound up becoming. Oh no, he didn't get fired. I'm sorry. He didn't get fired. I'm sorry. He wound up being hired by by the uh, by the by the Miami Dolphins, I think, for one point, and then he wound up also becoming a head coach for the New York Jets. He coached 4 years with the New York Jets, and just fired him. And then when he got fired, he wound up going to Tampa Bay. It became the Tampa Bay defensive coordinator, and the Tampa Bay defense had been a top five ranked the past 4 years that he was there. So the guy has coaching experience, but his record is like, I think he has a 41 or 30 some. I think if I'm correct, I think it's 20. I'm sorry, let me get this correct. If I'm accurate, I could be wrong. He has like 20 some wins and 30 or 40 some losses, somewhere along there in the 4 years that he was with New York Jets. Um, so he has of the two Tampa Bay's coaching staff, Todd Bowles had the most coaching experience. So it's a good chance that he could go to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the head coach. It's a possibility, but we don't know at this point. But you never know. And then okay, now here where I'm 37 the Eagles. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out the way. So I wanted to mention the Eagles again as far as their coaching staff concerned. Because the Eagles coaching staff right now is not worth it of nobody being the head coach because they're all young. So, but anyway, former Eagles head coach Doug Peterson is also in the running for the Jacksonville Jaguars position as well. This guy won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles come loose this past off season, and they hired Nick Sirianni, who's the offensive play caller and coach of the Philadelphia Eagles currently. Now Doug Peterson has a pretty good record with the Eagles. He has I think his record 40. He has 40 some wins and 20 some losses with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's a pretty good record overall with our Philadelphia Eagles team. He would never be forgotten as the Eagles and helping us win our first Super Bowl. He would never be forgotten for that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people felt he was treated wrong, and in my opinion, I think he was because I don't think he liked what was going on in the Philadelphia Eagles front office. Um, him and Harry Roseman didn't get along. They were seen arguing at one point on one of the football games. One point, him and Doug got into an argument. I'm not exactly sure what the argument was about, but they had a small dispute on the field of play at one point. The game didn't even start. It was around when all players were coming outside getting exercises on before they get game ready for the game to play. Him and head coach and Harry Roseman got a small spat, and so from that point on, him and Doug have been on bad terms, and that's why they let him go. I don't think it was because that he wanted to have another player, another coach to be an offensive coordinator for his team. I think he wanted out it anyway. So they granted him his wish. Sometimes you can do certain things to get fired from a team. You can be a bad coach and get fired, or you can take something um, to get fired. And sometimes be a disagreement between the owner and the coach. So sometimes best to part ways. So that's what happened with Doug Peterson and the Eagles. They parted ways because they were in disagreement of how they want the team ran. I think Doug Peterson really wanted some type of control, and Howie Roseman wouldn't give it to him. So that's one of the reasons why that one or two or three reasons why he left the Eagles in the first place. But anyway, Doug Peterson is in running for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching position. It's a good chance he could wind up there because where it is, he had spoke highly of Trevor Lawrence. I think he liked Trevor Lawrence pretty well. He said Trevor Lawrence reminds him much of Carson Wentz in his heyday. So that's a good chance that he could wind up becoming head coach there. Also, they are also looking at the Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus. I think that's his name. It's Eberflus. Matt Eberflus. He's the Colts defensive coordinator. If you guys remember, the Colts had a top 10 ranked defense in the time that he been at defensive coordinator. So he spent some time there, and the Colts defense is top 10 ranked currently. You know what I'm saying? And so so it's a good chance he could become head coach of Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't know because he does have any coaching experience, but he does have. When you're a defensive coordinator, that makes you a coach. It doesn't make you the head coach. It just makes you the second head coach after the original head coach who runs a team or make the plays, yada 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 for a team. So this guy, I think he calls the plays on defense overall. So if he calls plays on defense, if he becomes Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, it's a good chance Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. I mean, it's a good chance Jacksonville Jaguars defense could be top notch in the next couple of years, depending on the players that they get on defense. It's all about bringing in an offensive coordinator that can run the scheme that's perfect for your starting quarterback. So all that plays a part in it because you gotta look at it this way. A lot of coaches from different teams can get plucked and can move up in the coaching ranks on different teams. That's how it works in the NFL. They also looking at Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who the Eagles interviewed. Well, the Eagles wanted to interview with him, but they said Kellen Moore turned down the position or turned the interview down to become the head coach. He damn near became the head coach. And I'm looking at Kellen Moore's offensive pedigree. The guy he's damn good. He's running the head coach offensive schemes. And if he can do this real well as an offensive coordinator, because I said Kellen Moore was a quarterback. He was the Cowboy backup quarterback. He been in Cowboy. He been in the league for about 4 years before he called it a career to become an offensive coordinator. Remember, that guy was a quarterback coach and then got promoted to offensive coordinator. He been offensive coordinator for the past 3 years now. If you guys remember now, he coached under the I forgot the coach name, but he was the Giants offensive coordinator, and they fired him a few weeks ago. This guy ran that same style of offense, but when they fired him 2 years ago, and they brought in the new head coach, former Green Bay's head coach, and he run that style of offense now. So the guy has an offensive mind. If you think about it, he had two different styles of offenses in his head. So it's a good chance that he could become a head coach for Jacksonville because he's young. You know what I'm saying? And so with him being young, he might get the overall look for a coaching prospect concern. And then Dan Quinn. Now, this is the guy who I wanted the Eagles to bring in as their defensive coordinator. The Cowboy defense is a top 5 ranked defense. The guy can call plays after play after play, and they get after the quarterback. This Dan Quinn is the reason why the Cowboy defense is top 5 ranked in the NFL as we speak. This is the guy I really wanted the Eagles to hire, but they didn't. They went and got Jonathan Gannon, a young a young defensive mind, but not really up there right now because Dan Quinn has very experience. He knows how to run a defense. This is a guy who came from the University of Florida. Now, this guy coached Florida, the Florida Gators defense. He had two national championship rings. They got coached with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer hired this man. This man defense was top notch at the college level. Need I remind you? So he had two national championship rings with University of Florida, and he also has a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, I forgot the Seattle Seahawks head coach name, but he hired Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, and that defense won a Super Bowl. So that's why Dan Quinn got the look to become the head coach of the Falcons, and he coached the Falcons for 4 years, and the Falcons fired him this offseason, and now he with the Cowboys. So this guy has a very good pedigree at the college and pro level. So it's a good chance he could wind up becoming the head coach because his defense is fire. The guy runs a complicated style of defense, and I believe if the Eagles have hired this guy this year as the defensive coordinator, the Eagles, no way in the world the Eagles record wouldn't be where it is now. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's a veteran defensive coordinator of mine versus a very young defensive coordinator of mine. So we don't know where Jonathan Gannon's mind is at this point as far as experience, but Dan Quinn is very experienced at running defenses and also head coaching record. So he could become the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. Also, they're also looking at former Detroit and Indianapolis Detroit Lions and Indianapolis Colts head coach Jim Cardwell. Now Jim Cardwell had been interviewed three or four different times in the past 5 years. This guy hasn't coached in the NFL for about 5 or 6 years now, and he used to be. And at one point, he was on somebody's coaching staff, I want to say, and then he got fired, and I don't think he's been employed in the NFL since. So it's a good possibility he could return. He could return to the college level, return to the pro level for Jacksonville Jaguars currently. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good chance he could become head coach. So the Jaguars also decide to keep general manager Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke used to be the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. This is the guy who hired Chip Kelly back in 2015. If you guys remember when the Eagles fired Chip Kelly, Trent Baalke bought Chip Kelly. Trent Baalke bought Chip Kelly from the Eagles to the 49ers coaching staff. He bought from there to there. When the Eagles fired him, he brought in Chip Kelly. He thought Chip Kelly's offense was unique. Of course, he got fooled. And this is a guy who has hired 3 different coaches. I forgot that he got hired 3 different coaches with the 49ers when Jim Harbaugh left. When Jim Harbaugh left, the 49ers offense had been pathetic up until the last couple of years. If you guys remember now, 2 years ago, the 49ers bought in. I forgot that guy. I can't think of his name off the bat, but the head coach. Schottenheimer. They done bought in Schottenheimer's. Was it Schottenheimer? I'm sorry, no, not Schottenheimer. I'm sorry. This guy coached in the NFL. He coached the 49ers. He was the 49ers head coach. He was the coach for the Broncos, and then he went from the Broncos to the Washington Redskins. I forgot his name, but his son coaches in the NFL, and his son is the 49ers head coach. And since the 49ers head coach, 49ers offense have been pretty good the last 3 seasons. You know what I'm saying? And so he is the head coach for the 49ers now. But Chip Kelly was fired, and this guy became the head coach. In other words, they fired Trent Baalke and brought in a whole new different general manager and a new front office when they fired Trent Baalke. So I really don't know why the Jaguars keeping Trent Baalke, because Trent Baalke he's not a good pedigree when it comes to general managing a team. Because if you bring in 3 bad coaches with the 49ers, and then you let Jim Caldwell, you let Jim Harbaugh, you fire Jim Harbaugh, and you bring 3 different coaches prior to you getting fired and prior to them bringing a new general managing or a whole front office, and you with the Jaguars, and you just hired Urban Meyer, and then you had what's the boy other coach name, Doug Marrone. You had Doug Marrone. You hired Doug Marrone, and you hired Urban Meyer, and then before there was another guy you hired also after Doug Marrone. And so these three coaches that you hired with the 49ers, and you brought in these same kind of similar coaches to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you still with the coaching, and you still with the front office, you should have been fired a long time ago, in my opinion. So this guy Trent Ball, I'm thinking the Jazz are giving him one more year to see what he can do, because he got to hire the right coach. He got to redefine his coaching pedigree and bring in the right coach to run the football team. Because if he doesn't, in the next couple of years, if the new coach they bring in doesn't do well, he gonna be unemployed. So I see 2025 or 2024 he could be fired if this new coach they bring in don't work well with the players, and don't work well with the coaching staff and the organization. You could be fired just like that. So, but after mentioning all these coaches, there are still some guys that they're probably looking at. So they could be looking at Cliff Kingsford's staff, because Cliff Kingsford has a top 5 ranked offense with theirs on the Cardinals. And so his coaching staff can also be looked at. You're looking at, let me see, the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't mention the Cowboys. They got 2 guys that they're looking at. So if you look at all these veteran coaches and all their offenses, again, you can look at the Rams. Got some up and coming guys on their coaching staff. So I mean, there's so many winning teams. Yeah, the Saints. There's so many winning teams now that's in the playoffs that the Jaguars are probably going to look at. These are the guys that I just mentioned to you, because this is what I got from Bleacher Report. So right now they're doing their coaching staff. So their coaching search, and there's a possibility that between the guys that I just mentioned or some guys after the playoff, depending on who goes all the way to the Super Bowl, AFC, NFC, they could be interviewing any top-notch ranked coaches that they could bring to Jacksonville Jaguars. They did the same thing the Eagles did several years ago. They went to try to see if they could find the right coach. So they did what the Jazz are going to do. The Jazz are going to do a thorough research and bring in the right coach to run that style of offense or style of defense and get the team back the way it was. Because Jacksonville Jaguars haven't been a winning team in the past 4 years. So I think it's time that some changes go on. Because whoever they bring in as head coach, he's going to remake the whole staff. Some guys gonna stay, some guys gonna go. That's how it is in the NFL, because new coaches, they want to bring in their own staff. So some guys may be retained, and some guys may be let go. You know what I'm saying? So when Doug Peterson brought in a whole new different coaching staff. Chip Kelly, they got rid of all Chip Kelly's players, coaches, and only one that they kept out of that staff was Duke Steele at the time, Jeff Stoutland at the time. Jeff Stoutland right now. So everybody on that coaching staff is gone except for Jeff Stoutland. Jeff Stoutland, who's the remaining coach who has survived 3 different coaching changes. If you look at Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and now Nick Sirianni, 3 different coaching changes. He has survived. And that guy has a chance to be a head coach himself. But I hope the Eagles give him a new contract, make him one of the highest paid offensive line coaches in the NFL, because he's one of the top 5 offensive line coaches in the NFL. Seeing him go would be a blow to the Eagles coaching staff. It would be a major blow. So I hope the Eagles do some thinking and get them guy re-signed to a very high paid contract. That's where if any team wants to interview him for head coach or they hire him, they owe the Eagles a first and second round draft pick. That's how that works out. But anyway, enough of what I'm thinking. But this is what I just wanted to bring to you guys, because the Jazz are looking at some coaches now. They got the opportunity to look at all these guys now, because when the playoffs get started, a lot of these guys won't be interviewed until the playoffs is over with, or till their playoff tenure is come to an end. That's how the coaching staff, that's how the interview process goes on. So without any further ado, this is your boy, the Green Talons. Comment, like, share, subscribe, notification bell on top, so when you see my video coming, it comes back from me to you, and you know I got one coming. So anyway, that's what I want to talk to you guys about. The Jacksonville Jaguars are doing their coaching search right now, and they some of these guys that's in the playoffs. Some of these guys they're going to interview, and some of these guys they won't be able to interview. See, they're interviewing them now because even though all these teams are in the playoff or playoff bound, there's a good chance that they're trying to get all these interviews done now, because when certain teams get to the playoffs, they won't be able to catch them until they get eliminated, until they are eliminated. That's how it works. So, peace out, enjoy, one love.